isn't out, you're just going to be able to run away and not really care for the catch out from the side of Ivory. And it can be a little bit dangerous, right? You're running Tiny. Tiny's a very high-tempo sort of core nowadays. You'd want Blink, you'd want Echo Saber. It looks like in this case it's Echo Saber into Shadow Blade / Silver Edge to line up here for Aizen. And if those timings fall off, then Tiny's still going to be tanky and a nuisance, but you miss out on that burst window with Avatos. You're not going to be able to instantly nuke heroes down, especially as WS starts to build up some barriers himself, get some utility going for the team. So I do feel like for Ivory, they're going to have to really finagle around. It's kind of down to Ken. Ken's mid has to draw at the very minimum equal to Mikato, and he has to work himself out some good angles to rotate and to start snowballing with the Galvanize.
Well, look at this, Jonathan. Smoke on smoke situation. Ivory hanging around the bottom side. You do have Aizen still hanging around that top side, but it's going to be by that T1 tower. He's okay. Talon's still wrapping around onto the high ground of that dire jungle now. So Aizen hopefully has the sense to not move in, and in fact, you'll see the Watcher being taken anyway. So they're very well aware the smoke was there from Talon. They'll just completely avoid them.
The battle begins.
And Talon don't bother trying. I mean, you do see Jokam and Aizen fighting over a bounty room, but it does go 2 for 2 anyway. Nice little start for both sides. Very even kind of start. Of course, I suppose we can start with the mid lane for once. John, you've got Ken here up against Makoto. This should be a Lena-favored matchup.
And it should. For some reason, Drake giving a laugh react to Huku's have fun.
Smiley
which is rather
faces.
interesting.
Oh, here we go.
Smiley facing. Already starting with the pauses, as is traditional, and start ahead with the go. This matchup for Mikado shouldn't be too bad. Again, you poke pretty nice with Terminal Runway. You poke really nice as Lena in general. You were nerfed out on your Shard, so the damage output in that key timing would say Shard Kaya isn't as amazing, but I feel like this hero is actually just a little bit tankier. That barrier on Laguna might actually solve a lot more of her issues and not really take away from her burst potential, as it felt like the added damage on Fiery Soul was a little bit overkill anyhow. So having Lena that can just walk in with Shard, Laguna later on, is pretty scary. In lane, again, Ken can just keep playing with a static remnant, slide him forward, and get some CS, but you're not stopping Mikado. Unless he severely oversteps, you are certainly not going to be zoning out this Lena anytime soon. And he'll always have the poke back with the Dragon Slave and a couple of right clicks with that range advantage. So rune control is going to be key. We haven't really seen it in these qualifiers, but we used to see a lot more emphasis into the even just 2 and 4 minute water runes for the top-ups, and that is going to be pivotal for both sides to maintain their lane. So I'd like to see if Ivory has any sort of commitment to try to make that hellish for Mikado, at least in terms of refills here.
Well, we'll find out. Of course, looking up at the side lane, top lane, or rather bot lane, at the very least, Drick and Rupido. We up against Natsumi and Cuckoo. For now, things going pretty okay for Natsumi, but it's certainly not the freest lane in the world. Rupido's having a pretty good time as well, and as you can see, Drick being pretty annoying as the Phoenix, and it does start, like this Blinding Sun innate, I keep complaining about it, but I think people really underestimate how stupid the mischance gets after a bit of time.
Yeah, it gets ridiculously high, considering how often, say, Fire Spirit's damage procs. Like, that burn is constantly applying more stacks on you, and it does make it hard for Natsumi to farm up. That is mitigating some of these shortcomings for Rupido in this lane. Like we were talking about Monkey King enjoying the melee matchup, as WS does manage to clean top. A little bit of a misstep out from Grims. But you will have to be careful. Like, every single time Brick doesn't have Fire Spirits, that is a little bit of an opening for your Monkey King to actually look for that leverage into the jungle.
Absolutely. That top lane certainly not as hard as it would have been last series around for WS and Jokam. I mean, you're up against a Tiny and a Ringmaster. As I say that, they are trying onto Jokam, but they just don't have the damage output. Nice little stun from WS to ensure there was no real follow-up, though. Aizen's still trying for maybe a tree throw. In fact, it was a toss into a tree throw, but doesn't actually end up throwing the tree in the end. Now he's fighting for a healing Lotus, but WS will happily take that fight. And Aizen, I don't know if this is really the smart move here, sir. It is not. He's gone. I appreciate Eisen. He's trying to play on the edge, trying to snipe Joe Cam, trying to snipe a healing Lotus, but you're playing against a Centaur. It's not that easy.
Not an easy hero to burst down. You do have good magic damage, of course, but not nearly enough at this point to try to melt through. When going 1-1-1, maybe by 4 with a level 2 Avalanche, it starts to feel a little bit better. Even then, so much HP on WS, and now he's got the room to kind of get some more going for himself, as well as he has his second bracer flying in off the back of those kills, and full wand. So, you're going to have to set your eyes elsewhere. Looks like there is a rotation for the 4-minute water rune, so both sides are emphasizing about the pop-ups just a tad bit here.
Joe Cam and Grim's going at it. So both are going to just back their way out. No problems here. Mid lanes turned out to be very even, by the way. 21-5 and 21-6 for both the mid laners. So very even affair between the Storm laner. Which is probably really good news if you're Ken, because it should have been an advantageous matchup for the laner. It seems like Ken has still managed to even out very, very nicely. It seems like Joe Cam is hanging around, annoying Ken. In fact, Ken, as I say, that might just be dead. Makoto, Dragon Slave, it's going to connect. Was that my fault? I don't know, John.
Yeah,
that might have been my fault.
Always the caster's fault. It's always the caster's fault, you know?
Bottom lane?
Talking about player. Oh.
I didn't say his name. And Rupido, he'll be fine. Thank goodness for that.
I will want to make mention. Shout out to Mr. Lane for some reason calling me in the middle of a cast. Thank you.
Oh,
Lane.
I've
that ringing tone in my head. It's amazing.
I've done it here, John. This one's actually my fault. I thought you were safe, sir. I promise. I promise. I thought you were safe. Lane's calling you right now, is he, John?
Yeah, he rang me up, accidentally, instantly dropped. It's like, sorry. I'm like, dude, I'm working. You're working.
Pick it. No. Pick it up. Put it on speaker. Put it to the mic. I want to talk to you. Put it up.
Wouldn't that be a stereotype?
Next time, immediately pick up the phone. Don't even hesitate, John. You have my permission. Pick up the phone. I want to talk to you.
Can you imagine next time in a pause, we just call the managers up and it's like, hey, what's up? Welcome to the John X Mike podcast with some game running in the background. As it's starting to pile up for Talon, right? 4-0, 2K lead coming in. All the lanes looking fantastic. Again, we're not seeing those weak lanes as Ken.
Oh, these are really nice rotations here from Talon. Very smart rotation. Ken still a while away from level 6. At least Grims does take the invis, but they had a sentry here from Joe Cam, and Grims is going to narrowly avoid the power shot. But it won't matter in the end, will it, Jonathan? It will not. Makoto with a double kill on the laner. And Ken again, Jonathan, he's stuck at level 5.5. Makoto now level 7. And if you're Talon, you're just hoping to find Ken one last time before he hits that 6. But he should have it with this creep win.
Should find it. You know, at the least, the silver lining for Ken, because he's dying before 6, he's not losing his free galvanized, right? Like that's the silver lining. He has 3 from leveling up the ball lightning. So
you can't lose what you don't have.
Yeah, exactly it. And he's just going to have to try to recover. This is going back to the issues we were talking about at the draft. Like, all of this entire game for the side of Ivory is kind of dependent on Ken. He's the guy that needs to connect into the side lanes to look for these kills. And when you just hit 6 on Storm at 7 minutes in, no rune control to speak of, you're not really in a position to get that done. Being aggressive down bot again.
They are. Rupido definitely has no way out of this scenario. He's gone. Another nice pickup here for Natsumi. It makes me think as well, while we're on the topic of the galvanized stacks and having nothing to lose. What if, John, because at some point the devs are going to have no idea what to change, right? What if we just added, like, a debt dealer or something, like a loan shark on the map somewhere with really high interest? No, but think about it. Think about it, right? You take some debt out. Hold on a minute. Cuckoo's in trouble. In fact, Drick's in trouble now. Bottom lane, Drick is going to go down. Cuckoo will survive. Very nice kill here for Natsumi. But think about it, John. You go to the loan shark. You take out 1,000 gold. He's charging you 20% interest, right? And it's like every 5 minutes. So every time you get a bit of gold as support, it just instantly disappears back to the bank. Think about that, John. How great would that be?
It would be great. We've had this discussion in a previous episode of the John X Mike podcast, Mike. We were even theorizing, like stocks, trading commodities. Like maybe branch value goes up and down depending on how many people buy it. It's supply and demand.
They should do it. They should do it. In fact, why not make the items in Dota 2 NFTs? Sean? That's the real genius move. That's the real move. Think about it. How great would that be?
That'd be amazing. You know, mint everything up on the blockchain right now. Can you imagine? No, you know what? Why do we even bother with Dota? Just let Dota be running. I don't know, some sort of a miner. Just
That's
let
right.
it mine.
That's
it.
right. Maybe that's what gaming's secretly doing to us, John. Every time we load up a game, maybe we're actually mining. Maybe that's why my GPU is sitting at 90% right now for whatever reason. You know? Maybe that's what's happening. Joe
Yeah,
Cam?
you know what?
Joe Cam going for that Watcher. We'll just wind run away. They'll lock him down with the Pit of Malice. Surely he dies. Here, Joe Cam. He will go. Zip it. Ken wants more. He's found Makoto, but Makoto has a shield rune active, and there's no follow-up to it. So they do get Joe Cam, who was completely out of position, but that does cost them 4 heroes down to the bot lane. Just look what Cuckoo's doing in the meantime. Just casually pushing the mid lane with that liquid fire. Nothing they can do about it.
One of the strengths of that Shakiro, slow whittling down of objectives, of course. And I have to say, it's fascinating to see Makoto's build. He's just going back for the Maelstrom now. So you get rid of Magic Lina, you're getting right-click Lina back into the picture, which is fantastic, is it not? Like,
It is.
in as much as this game changes, it kind of stays the same. Because I remember casting a lot of NADPC, casting a lot of those times, and we were seeing right-click Lina. You know, you got the next year we got Magic Lina back. Now we're back to right-click. The cycle continues, man.
Hold on a minute. Jump in. Ken wanted an Arcane Rune for himself. Sadly, it spawned bottom, so Makoto will find another bonus for himself here, and of course wants the mid-tier 1 tower while he's around. Nice light strike array. Ken, be careful, sir.
Ooh.
I thought he was going to Laguna for a second, honestly. I thought Makoto might just pop the Arcane and go for it, but I suppose Ken would have probably been able to dodge it with the ball lightning anyway. So in we go. Talon, easy secure on the tier 1 mid. Only Grimm's around to defend, and obviously it's not going to be enough. In fact, Drick will make his way over as well, but it's just a waste of time at this stage. Does try for a deny at least, doesn't get it.
This is opening so much map space across the side lanes for Natsumi and WS to just free farm. You know, Natsumi's pretty much been uncontested, working onto a Battle Fury and the Monkey King. WS has had so much free space up top, invading the jungle. Has his Blade Mail up, not too far off from the Blink. Has the Stampede in case things do go really bad for the side of Talon. And for the side of Ivory, they're just not at the point where they can kind of play just yet. Echo Saber for Aizen still a ways off. Again, he is going for Shadow Blade over Blink. So you're going to need that on top before your Tiny's expected to rotate in. You've got the Fiend's Gate, but who do you really tie that into with? There's really not much available yet for you to even consider a play. Ken is somewhat ready. You know, 4 Galvanized stacks up, has the Soul Ring for emergency mana. Can kind of connect, like they have an option to try to play with Supernova and say Pit of Malice, but there's no clear opportunity really presenting itself. And you're not durable enough to cop through a lot of the damage from Talon if they do decide to clump up. Again, your lane matchups just didn't go the way you'd want them to. I think this Underlord pick throughout these qualifiers has not looked too sharp. On the side of Ivory, though, we'll try to go out with a smoke and try to utilize and get some action out on Ken. WS would be a juicy target, but he has 2k HP with a Blade Mail. Not really the safest target to go on.
I mean, Jokan broke the smoke anyway. They're going to try and zip forward, but yeah, it's a lost cause. I think Ken would probably be lucky that the Centaur wasn't there. They're obviously trying to abuse the fact that they've got the egg available on Drick as well, so would make life very hard in terms of just trying to deal with Ken if there's an egg right behind him, giving all that mischance on top, but they just don't find the opening. And if you're Talon right now, like considering you've already found almost all the towers for the tier 1s, the only one standing now being the bottom one, that you can just sit back and relax. In fact, look at this, mid lane, they're going to try for Joe Cam. He wind runs his way out. Do they dive? They will, and now they want to fight. They'll take down Joe Cam, but what's it going to cost? What's it going to cost? Oh, Ken, what are you doing? What are you doing?
That was definitely a little bit too greedy. I think they got carried away a little bit. They've been happy enough to just kill off Jokam. He's the 2 deaths, the 2 kills that Ivory has found. But it's just diving into a tier 1, still a very healthy tier 1 as well. Not something you can clear out with a lot of TPs on hand. Talon's just been very laid back. No TPs having to be expended. It's optimistic. Again, you could argue this is space. You could argue you're building up on Aizen. He's got the Echo, but
This could be a good one. This will be a good fight. If they can get at least someone worth getting. Cuckoo's not really worth getting, but they'll take it. Issue is, Jonathan, that's your whole team down at bottom lane to secure a Jakira.
yeah, Talon's ready. They're still in position here. Blink on WS.
Egg drop. Makoto's probably going to have to ignore that. Zip forward from Ken, but he's a little bit short, so the egg is going to explode, but catches nobody. They're still trying for Makoto. Boundless strike off the mark. Makoto, he will die. A good start to this fight so far for the dire end, but the fight does continue as Natsumi goes down now. Aizen with the avalanche toss taking him out. A very nice fight from Ivory. And for Talon, I mean, they went into that 4v5. They knew Cuckoo was dead. So, you know, I appreciate the confidence, but maybe a little bit too much confidence.
And it's a good read from the side of Ivory. Right? Like, they forced the fight, not just because Cuckoo's dead, but they know Stampede's down. There's no easy bailout for Makoto to run away from the egg, even though they don't
still
have Pit and
trying.
Malice to entrap him.
They're going again. I mean, WS does have that Stampede now up with Blink Dagger ready. So it looks like he wants to play with that power spike he's got. He's going to wrap around. In fact, never mind. He'll go back down to the bottom lane, trying for Rupido. Just wants the quick snipe. And they should eventually have him, and they do. And with that, of course, the tier 1 bottom tower going to be easily dealt with.
You compensate a little bit, but you have managed to recover quite a fair bit here on the side of Ivory, right? You're getting some early activity out from Aizen. Suddenly he's coming out with Blitz Knuckles up. The Shadow Blade's not going to be too far off. You can start to join these initiations. They get some decent value out from the first egg of Drick. And you are recovering some of those galvanized stacks on Ken, despite kind of jumping a little bit too far in a couple of these fights. They will surrender the Tormentor, which is another big gold injection coming out here for Talon. And the free shard out for Cuckoo is always a welcome addition as well, with the Liquid Fire and Liquid Frost now. But Ivory is still keen to play. I mean, I like this understanding they have. Even though sometimes it does fall flat in its face, they know they have to keep that pressure up with the smokes. They're just playing with Ken on the 2 supports, and it's a hit and run. Although WS is a little bit too tanky.
He's a big boy. I mean, that Blade Mail is not going to make it easy. Cuckoo's behind him. He's the target. They'll jump in on Cuckoo. They'll take the easy one. But WS looks like he wants to jump. He will not, though. So nice little pickup from Ivory. I mean, this is the kind of stuff you like to see. Just the quick pickups for Ken. Don't overextend. Just take what you get and get the hell out of there.
Just rinse and repeat. Buy that time for the rest of the team. Hold out until some ores are built up in Rupido. I think that's where the game starts to complicate a little bit for Talon. Like, he's got the Atos up now on the Underlord. You've got the double root coming in, and the stack root, of course, as you stay in that pit, which can start to make it pretty tough, especially for Natsumi, who is relying on kind of trying to jump in and out of these fights. He doesn't quite have his BKB up just yet. So there's a window where these forced fights from Ivory will, again, catch her Monkey King out in an awkward spot. And the side of Talon aren't really able to cross the river as confidently as we've been seeing them with some of these gold leads early on. Like, they're 17 minutes in, they're relatively stuck on their side of the map. There's still a lot of area for Ivory to try to play this farm game on. And again, even though the lead is at 6k for Talon, which is a significant amount, you are building up an Aizen, you're recovering on Ken to an extent. The Kaya's up, the Sanj isn't too far off. Locking in the Storm can be a little bit of an issue because you don't have those stable stuns for yourself. You're reliant on a Hoof Stomp, you're reliant on maybe a really good Shackle out from Chokam. Easier said than done.
Well, Ken thought he might get caught there for a second. He does zip his way back from WS. Doesn't seem like they're going to really commit for anything too big right now, Ivory. They're just going to back off. And again, Talon are more than happy to play a slower game. They understand they are well and truly in the lead, and probably understand they've got some power spikes here with some big items that they can wait for. Power Rune, though, could be a big deal considering you do have a Storm, and they are going to at least find an illusion first. Not exactly what you want for Ken, but he's hoping for another, but he won't get it. Haste Rune picked up by WS. He wants to fight. Could he find a big... Oh, he has!
Oh.
He has! He found the 3-man. Oh no. I'll tell you what, John, you could see that coming from a mile away. You saw it. It was slow motion. Perfect stunt from WS.
We have a beautiful readout from WS, and the side of Ivory just not clumped up enough, I would say. Like, if you had Rupido a little bit closer, not within the stun range, of course, but just close enough to get the pit, just close enough to maybe back up this egg with a little bit of a movement backwards there for Drick. Could have been a decent turn potential, and still having that option in Aizen to reveal that Shadow Blade. Instead, you lose a couple of heroes, you lose Aegis now as well. Natsumi has a backup with that secondary life. He's only about 900 gold away from the full BKB, and you're gonna hit critical mass in Talon soon. Double BKBs coming out for Mikado and for Natsumi. Fixes a lot of the issues they have in these fights. Suddenly that egg, the mischance, isn't gonna be feeling so great. You're not concerned about the fire spirits, you're not concerned about the storm burst damage, or the tiny burst damage either, and you're just free to control these engagements. So for Ivory, even though they're playing into Aegis, they still have to kind of take these chances. Like, they've got to try to slow down these BKB timings, because once it's up, you're fully reliant on just Aizen trying to thwack heroes down, and he's just not at that point yet where Tiny's just a big mean beast. And he's got his shard, he has the permanent tree grab buff up on him. I mean, it's a decent amount of output, but not enough to really burst, considering what Talon has on hand.
The smoke up. Ivory with the 4-man smoke. Aizen's going to join his team. Of course, they always have the Fiend's Gate to join in here with Rupido. Big wraparound through the mid-river into that Radiant Triangle for Ivory. Talon, though, they're hanging on the eastern side of the map. They're more than happy to just farm that area. In fact, they found an Arcane Rune. Cuckoo's just standing by. Jocam's going to go ahead and take it for himself. It almost seems like they know the fight's coming. The Talon very well prepped if they do start a fight from Ivory's end of things, and they're not going to go for Jocam again, are they? I think they learnt from last time. Though Aizen might try to blow him up.
Oh.
He sees him. Jocam's out of there. And Ken thought better of jumping in. He's not doing that another time.
Even though the Jocam kill wouldn't have been the biggest kill anyhow, but rather unfortunate, Aizen smoke breaks under a sentry with just enough vision on the edge. Trying to give Jocam that info. So a lot of time wasted. Lead built up to 9k for Talon. Looking to pressure up top, still working as a unit. Using Cuckoo as bait. See if someone bites.
We shall see. Cuckoo not going to get caught. He'll just take the Shrine of Wisdom. They are still trying to contest. Here comes Aizen, but WS again. Double stun out. Ken, though, in the backside does get shackled up here. This could be a pretty horrible team fight. They'll drop the wheel, but is it going to matter? The chase is on. Stampede has been committed. Ken's going to zip away. Looks like they have caught themselves a Ringmaster, and that'll be Grims to go down as now Aizen also being jumped. Barely avoids the stun here from Makoto. And it might be time to leave now, because Ken has regened a little bit. He can come back in for this fight. In fact, he's been caught now. The Ice Path from Cuckoo. Not going to really hold him down long enough, though. They'll move on to Aizen once again. Aizen dropping low. They'll get at least the Aegis off of the Monkey Kick. So Natsumi's down. Meanwhile, WS, he's having a look for Aizen, but the Envy's going to save his life, so instead they'll take Ken's life. Aizen? Oh, Jocam. He's got a power shot. Does he want to try? No, he does. Aizen gets away. Yes.
I wish they just gave back the global power shot range for kill shot.
True.
Why not? Right? Like, you would take the chance if you had global range. You're like, all right, let's give it a shot here. See if it works out. You're happy enough. Again, Talon has just been pretty ready. Using Cuckoo as bait. They've got great strategizing. They had vision in the area. They're playing around where they have solid control.
Oh, he might be tempted again, John. Gale Force gonna drag back Aizen. I don't believe he was underneath the sentry until they just placed him. So maybe Jocam playing some mind games with them.
I think he walked into the edge of the left side sentry as he was going to the creep wave. So he got clipped again. And that's going to lead into a little bit of smoke for Talon and see if they find a position. They don't have much forward vision up top, but they chance upon Ken. Keeping the storm down, keeping him away from even more galvanized attacks could be good, but they are getting rear-ended here just a bit.
Jump in, WS. Gonna find a nice quickie. And Grimm's trying to buy himself a bit of time here. Does get the escape act off. A bit of time being being bored here for himself, but nothing to write home about. They'll take his life away. Ken desperately just trying to clear out the creep wave before he leaves, but oh, Joe Cam's going to catch him. He doesn't back off in time. Man, I don't want to be critical, John. He cleared the creep wave and then waited for like 2 extra seconds instead of just getting out of there. I guess he must have assumed Talon wouldn't be coming. But it feels like the Storm's game is just too important to be kind of dropping like this.
It really is.
Well, at least maybe they'll find Natsumi. And that's a big maybe, John, because Joe Cam's here. Never mind, John. They're not going to find Natsumi. It's not going to happen. Don't worry about it.
Almost going through the gate, Cuckoo, wanting to find out what's on the other side as WS finds a little bit more for himself here.
Run, Grims, run.
Tower is under attack.
He's alright. Bottom lane is the push starts again from Talon. I'll tell you what, as much as I hate complimenting Wind Ranger, Joe Cam's doing a brilliant job in every game we've seen it in so far.
He has. He's been setting up well. He's, again, just going back for the reliable Rod of Atos, for some chain control, maybe for some setup into some decent shackles coming in. And I think it's also just down to Ivory not being able to play to their strengths. Again, lanes didn't go out the way they'd want. You had a really atrocious time for Rupido down bot, considering it's a melee matchup for Monkey King. He's always going to feel good. I think the key thing is we haven't really seen the combination, right? Like, we haven't seen Egg work with, say, Pit of Malice. We haven't seen maybe a good zip out with Avalanche Toss connecting onto bigger targets. And that commitment just hasn't been connecting in the way you want it on Ivory. And if you can't play to the strengths of your draft, you're really just banking on someone to make a mistake here, which it does feel like you are now.
Grims barely avoiding the stun from WS, but the Gale Force going to lock him in. Oh boy, it's just so rough for poor old Grims, who's going to get caught another time, and there is no one to help the poor guy out. He's gone. Just the Gale Force is just kind of dumb, isn't it, John? Like, I think people forgot about how much utility that Wind Ranger Shards provides.
Dire's top tower
Yeah.
has
I remember when it was first launched and people were laughing at it, but it also had global range back then.
It did?
It was the most busted shard at that point. Maybe not the most busted, but it was hilariously insanely strong. Because you just cast it anywhere.
That was when Seb came out of retirement for the 20th time and played for OG, and he just picked Wind Ranger every single game. I remember that.
Okay, to be fair, I think that was the first of Seb's returns from retirement. His first one.
Sure? Ken?
Yeah, the first into a chain of him.
Ken might be retiring soon if he's not careful, John. Ken will zip out of it. Talon, 18k advantage now, very confident kind of lead. I mean, you look at the net worth graph and the way everyone's just stacked up. Like, Eisen, yeah, he's found some farm, but it's still a pos 1 tiny. He's just not even close to the BKB yet. Even if he has the BKB, it's... Yeah, you can stand there and fight, but you just got to be concerned about how much damage. And now you've got the Ags up on the Centaur. Workhorse is available now.
is under attack.
It's beautiful. We've got the Hitcher ride on Mikoto. Gonna be able to ride around. Heck, WS could save Natsumi whenever he does something. Pretty sure he's doing this as insurance for good old WS. He's like, I've seen this before. I've seen it.
It's important.
Eisen.
There you go. Speaking of the devil, Natsumi gonna find Eisen. But Eisen's the one being targeted here as Grim's gonna try and help out, though I don't think there's any help in poor old Eisen. He's gone and so is Grim. It's a grim game, Jonathan. Excuse the pun.
That it is. It certainly is a grim game for Ivory. And
needed
for
to
Grims
repeat
in
it, John.
particular.
Not necessarily
I
repeat.
just
It
wanted,
was pretty bad.
Just wanted to make sure. Just wanted to make sure people heard people heard that 100%. just in case they were tuning out a little bit. This is to wake you up. Got a big one from Michael Phoenix.
How dare you say they cheated?
You double down. You should. Oh, they never do. You know, because they were never tuned in anyway.
Ken's alright for now, but he's going for the creep wave. Ken, Blez, get out. Oh, they didn't see Makoto either. Ken, it's a... Oh, you're right, Ken, get out of it. Oh, here comes the real problem though, Joe Cam. Joe Cam's on the hunt. Ken's okay. He's fine.
No.
Although
Is he?
oh no, no, I've done it again, haven't I, John?
Oh.
Ken? Oh no! Not Ken! He'll zip into the base, but it's the wrong base, Ken. Get out of there! Oh, poor Ken. He got his BKB, John. That's the good news. Bad news is he has no buyback, so that could be problematic.
Respawns are fairly short, at the very least 40 seconds for Ken. Bigger issue is that he has no galvanized left. He's going to need to take a loan out from his aunt to build his 1.1 meter home.
Well, we need the
Still a
loan
ways
shark.
off for him.
I'm telling you. That and dynamic pricing. Oh, dynamic pricing 100% should have been in Dota a long time ago. Rupido
God.
in trouble. Oh, Natsumi pops the BKB. Has no stun to speak of, though, so a bit of a win here for Ivory. Meanwhile, at the top lane, Cuckoo's being chased down by Ison, who has no blink dagger up, so it's a bit of a slow process, but he'll finally get there. Cuckoo actually still alive, but finally will go down. There's now the Stampede, and the turnaround. Escape back committed. Is it going to matter for Ison? He's still trying to make his way out, but he's just completely surrounded no matter where he goes. But he will make it barely. The WS! The stun in again! Even with the workhorse. Ison barely escaping, but not for long. He's gone. Maybe they find the Centaur, or maybe not. WS just tanks through all the damage. Natsumi finding Drick. Escape back to try and help out. But it was all an act, Jonathan. Drick. No, he's actually okay. He's out. He's made it. But it's not getting any better, John. What is it, John?
Nah, I mean, you had WS surrounded by 4 of their heroes with Egg and Sunray right on top of him, and he still won't die. Like, he didn't even have his pipe barrier up left. It was already melted through. It's just not enough. There's no output here if you can't right-click with Ison. And Ison, again, he doesn't have big, beefy crits just yet. He has to finish his BKB. He's going to go for the Revenant's Brooch, which in this game is alright, although you're already playing into pipe, so chances are it's not going to feel as amazing as compared to, say, a Daedalus, but it is much more economical, at least for Ison. And again, that's going to give a little bit of a boon in terms of output, but you're 25-7, Roche is open.
I love this Roshan throwing thing. I feel like this is the best addition to Roshan in a long time. Just starts throwing people. I love it.
You know what I wish? I wish he would I wish he'd start walking at 5 minutes. Spice up our mid lane a little bit. You know,
I agree.
if you know, someone's farming up. You know, you're having a duel. Roche stomps in and decides no fighting while I'm walking through, and kills
You know these mid players, John. You know, if one of their creeps gets touched, they get upset. It's horrible, dude. You know, every time I try to gank the other mid laner, if I touch the range creep, like if that creep loses 1 HP, I may as well disconnect, John, because I'm getting trash talked the whole game by my own mid lane. It's horrible. Imagine Roshan could do that, John, just deleting creep waves 5 minutes in. Imagine Quinn on Twitter. We don't want that.
I can't imagine Quinn. I don't need to imagine Quinn on Twitter. I remember Quinn on Twitter. I also remember the many faces of Quinn. I don't know. I love Quinn. We've met him in person, but whenever I think of classic CCNC, I just think of Optic Gaming for some reason.
Oh.
I always go back to that. It's not even his Pango comments. It's just him playing Death Prophet and Lush as the catch one.
Yeah. Escape Act at least going to buy him a bit of time to find a way out. Aizen actually jumped in, but he can't sustain himself. Makoto just stands his ground. Says, where you going, boy? And with that, tier 3 tower under siege now. Gale Force Rupido just trying to get away. Right of Atos to lock him down. Oh my goodness. Makoto now getting jumped, but the ice path onto Ken. Ken's going to pop his BKB. Makoto, he's still mad fighting. He doesn't care. Grims is down now. Call it, boys. Enough. Throw in the towel. There you go. GG. My goodness.
Yeah, I feel like...
Did I say we're going to a third game, John? Is that what I said?
That's
I
what
say
you did,
that?
Mikey. You did say that. It's really important, at least, in terms of trying to poke at the tide before he gets too much out of the lane. That's going to be the key thing now for Grims, just relying on the impalement arts, maybe a couple Team the Beasts when the opportunity arises. But for Ivory's sake, their lanes have to go a lot better with this kind of draft here. If they start to fall behind, you're going to get split pushed down by Natsumi. You're going to have this big, beefy Tide Hunter up front. You have a lot of ways of connecting with the Storm as level 6s come up. You know, hook shot for Cuckoo. You've got a lot of ways of just bursting these heroes. So Ivory has to shape up in lanes with with these heroes they've picked up for themselves.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we'll see what happens. Ivory, again, backs against the wall. They lose this game, they're out of the qualifier. It's going to be a big smoke already here from Talon. Natsumi will not join his team. He'll head down bottom, but Talon will head off as 4 through the river. Meanwhile, a 3-man smoke from Ivory down on the bottom side, and they're actually running directly towards Natsumi. But Natsumi, still on the high ground, should be okay to scout out eventually with these treants. In fact, he does back off at the right moment as well. Being very careful not to say the wrong words here in case I jinx either of these teams here, Jonathan. Vision will give them the info that Natsumi is there, but it seems like Natsumi just going to let the Greater Trade do all the talking. It is going to be a 3-for-1 trade though, in terms of bounties, so this time around, a bit of a better start already for Ivory.
And it is. You're going to be happy enough with the gold injection. Going to be pretty important, especially in the mid lane. Right? It's the classic Storm versus Ember. It's a race to bottle. It's a race to how well you can secure your runes for yourself, how much contestation is there for the water runes.
Look at that bottom lane. Just completely cleared out the creep wave double iron shells, and even Grim's just hanging around with the impalement arts. Not allowing Natsumi to feel too confident. It's Cuckoo. Oh, very close. Doesn't quite get the TP cancel, but I'm sure the butt cheeks of Grims were clenched in that moment.
Oh yeah. Like, getting that punishment out, leaving that lane top solo, a DK into Tide just, again, doesn't feel great. So you will need that presence out. They have done the damage, and this is one way to get things going, right? Like, you get a faster level 2, you play a little bit greedier, you get the pulse consistently out from Drick. Drick can be punished quite hard. Natsumi's just keeping track of a creep wave, as Cuckoo's also getting an awkward pull to make them meet in the middle. That's going to lead to quite a fair few shenanigans. And of course, the end, Nature's Prophet doesn't mind this as much because he does have a treant that can tank these creeps for him. So you're still going to be happy enough to farm on Natsumi, but they are doing their best to just keep these creep waves stacked up. Like, Drick still has an entire wave on him. It's going to just be some good free EXP to get.
Oh, Aizen. That's a lot of damage on Aizen. Is he just dead? Power shot? Off cooldown in 2 seconds, so Jokam could try to snipe him. He will try, won't land it. Would be pretty hard considering, you know, Aizen knows it's coming. But I do appreciate how aggressive Talon are already being at this top lane against this DK.
Yeah. Again, this lane matchup for Aizen is already pretty poor. It's very reliant on Grims to actually just keep applying that harassment back with the Impalement turrets, with the Tamed Beasts. At the least, Aizen does have, you know, some durability with a Dragon Blood innate. He's getting some free tangos out. He is still finding some farm. And considering how much is being committed from WS and Jokam, the fact that he just regens back up and farms is happy enough for the side of Ivory. Like, he's above WS's farm in terms of CS. He's managing to still get some levels up, just get that slow, steady ride up. And as long as Grims isn't caught out, killing off Aizen, it will take a lot more commitment in terms of spells. Like, it's going to take maybe two spell casts to actually kill him off from, say, Power Shot plus, say, double Gush or double Anchor Smash. And catching Aizen that far forward, not going to happen too often.
The bottom lane going very well for Natsumi, all things being said and done as well. Like, considering they did skip the first creep wave with the double iron shells, he's had a pretty good time. Natsumi top of the CS board, not threatened whatsoever, and it's kind of the thing as well, like, this Darkseer into Prophet always can feel like a little bit awkward considering they don't care about the iron shell spam on the creep wave, because this Greater Treant can just tank the creep wave anyway. Cuckoo can be very annoying here towards Drick, who's copped a couple power cogs. And that's another thing as well, right? Like, for this support Ricky, sure, you get an iron shell placed on you, but Cuckoo probably won't care if he gets jumped by Ricky with iron shell, because you got batteries, assault cogs. You just fight back.
Yeah. Again, that's the big weakness of going all in on that Darkseer early on. Like, this clockwork option was open, it wasn't banned out. We haven't seen it all in the Southeast Asian qualifiers, but it makes sense up against a double melee. You're a good front line to cut off the spacing for Natsumi, to just allow an NP to play a very AFK game of just farming up. Your lanes are going very well on Talon, and even the mid lane, it's a little bit slower for Mikado. Ken has managed to catch up a little bit, but the mid lane's not being crushed either way.
They try to jump in on Natsumi. Rupit is actually stuck here between the creep wave and the trees. And now he's in big trouble because the chase is on from Cuckoo. Rupido, he does not have any points in Surge. I appreciate the desperation of play of trying to jump in with the Iron Shells onto Natsumi, but it's just... Level 2 Iron Shell at this stage is not enough, and now Drick's in trouble. He'll be able to trick the trade out of there, but... At this stage, this combo has already been lost for the laning stage. Like, the kind of pressure you're looking to apply as this Darkseer, it's gone.
You're not going to be able to hit those timings you're really gunning for as well. At the least, you've got the Ring of Health. A Vanguard's going to come out. You can get this time to just try to build some stacks for yourself, get some steady farm, but Natsumi's gotten his game online. Power Tread's flying out, Maelstrom not too far off. All the lanes for Talon, again, looking pretty sharp. Maybe mid lane, again, just slightly favorable for Ken. They're trying to constantly poke at WS, but he's got a nice little buckler, a little bit more armor to play with. Very hard to zone out, and he cuts down the damage on Aizen every time he comes in with the anchor smash. They are focusing mid a bit here.
Okay, I'm trying to snipe Ken. Actually, they've got Ken as well. Ken's just dead. Natsumi even joining in. In fact, Drick trying to play the game does take down Joe Cam. Has another Blink Strike ready, just needs a target and does find Grims. It's a nice little trade at least for the Ricky, but you're going to lose your mid-ember for that, and that is never going to really be good news. Because it's going to be Ken once again stuck at level 5. And chances are, Talon might try to take another life away.
I think he will. And there are some wards at least to watch if anyone's still hanging around the area. Ivory?
Maybe they can hope for Makoto. There's the silence out with the smoke screen. Fear out as well. Makoto, he's unable to get away. Very nice play here from Drick and Grims, just ensuring that they had barely enough to find a bit of a revenge kill. Meanwhile, Drick narrowly avoiding the power shot that was incoming, but Cuckoo's still on the chase. Looks like Cuckoo just going to have to settle for a courier. So he will not be able to find himself a real hero. And, well, that was a very important kill. Finding Makoto on that Storm, it pretty much allows Ken to actually out-level the Storm once again.
Yeah, just get some equilibrium back his way. The one big blessing for Mikado is that he did manage to pick up the region route, so if he wanted to play fast, they could. Aizen?
Yeah, that's a bit problematic. Natsumi just easiest TP rotation. Aizen loses his courier as well. So no treads for the next minute and 15 seconds. And of course, more importantly, Jonathan, you lost your POS 1 and a Tier 1.
Yeah, I mean, it's that pacing again. You've got the Nature's Prophet on your side here. You have that leverage for push. It is providing some space for Rupido to play catch-up, right? Like, he gets a free lane. He manages to soak up level 6. He's got that Vanguard we were talking about. So he's a little bit more durable. He's not going to die to the pokes of Natsumi with his raw right clicks at the very least. And you are giving yourself some ways of hitting some spikes to play with. Like, again, the team fight of Ivory isn't too shabby. A vac wall with smoke screen on top with some chains from Ken can make a big difference when you do have the value point in the chain. But the tools are slowly coming together. Mind you, they need to do something about Natsumi. 201 on the NP, 4K net worth right now. We'll try.
I mean, they are giving it a crack. This will be a big pick-off if they can get it. Again, the smokescreen making life very hard, though. Natsumi getting in the Sprout. Will not be able to get away, but... Oh my goodness, it felt somewhat close as Cuckoo now also being chased down. Should be dead. I mean, it's 4 versus 1. Eventually they'll catch him. That'll be a very nice couple of kills here, especially the kill, of course, onto Natsumi. Very important for the side of Ivory to try and secure, and they do get it.
Yeah, it feels like one of those games where they are just giving WS as much as you'd want, so they're willing to sack Natsumi a bit. Again, he's been more than willing to rotate into these fights as well. And him dying is a pretty big boon for Ivory. Again, they're getting gold, they're getting farm, they're getting good usage out from the first wall, out from Rupido. getting that catch-up you'd want to see on the Darkseer. And they're somewhat buying space out for Aizen. He is still a little bit behind in terms of net worth on the DK, but catching up shouldn't be too big of an issue and some Maelstrom himself. Natsumi heads back bot again.
Oh
they
boy.
are still here.
And more TPs coming this time. WS trying to get there in time to help out. Does have a skill point saved for that Ravage if he needs it. Shackle gonna land Ken. He's low on mana. He's out of remnants as well. Oh, Ken playing with fire a little bit too much, I think. Does get taken down. And this time, Natsumi will fight for another day. In fact, more kills coming. Drick being caught. He's got no way out. He's down. Have they seen Rupido? I think they may have. But no, Makoto doesn't quite have the vision. We'll let him go. But that's another tier 1 tower, Jonathan. In fact, it could be 2 tier 1 towers because they've all headed into the mid lane now.
We've got the output. Kuku's still in a good spot to try to scout out. Gets a nice block as well onto the camp, cutting off some of that farm here on the side of Ivory. And they've got some really good forward vision. Maybe doubling up on these forward by mid. Still,
Yeah, Drick just desperately trying to get a bit of farm and XP in while he can, but looks like it may cost his life, though for now he'll barely make it. Kuku unable to finish the job yet. The escape art saving, but no, the power shot from Joe Camp allowing just enough, though. In comes Rupido now with the wall drop as well to ensure that they come out on the positive end of that fight, and they certainly do. And with that Ivory now, they can go after the tier 1 mid tower themselves.
we've got the room to get that damage out. Talon not in position to defend. Again, they're happy enough to just let Natsumi farm, let WS farm as well. Like, he has not used his Ravage, he's filled up. He is just going for his phase boots. Maybe looking for the blink afterwards. Once you have that initiation, gets a little bit simpler overall for Talon to kind of play. They still have control of their triangle. They've got stuff to clear out. The one thing for the side of Ivory is that even with all that room, that opportunity to push, they don't really have great pushing heroes in terms of tower damage. At least not until you get Aizen actually joining in with a dragon form, which they didn't quite fully commit to. So you do still get to hang on to these tier 1 objectives. And Talon still gets to play this farm game for Natsumi and WS. And phase boots are flying out for WS. Already has the full Vlad's up. Starting to feel pretty durable on the tide, providing some good amount of regen as well with the aura. And he did go for the Kraken Swell facet, which normally we see the Plankton Eater, the scaling up into the late game, but the shell can be quite annoying if W starts to find more and more kills and assists while spamming away Anchor Smash. This tide could be nigh unkillable if this game goes on very long but also stacks up.
I can only imagine how stupid this could get if he does find enough kills, but yeah, it's funny, that's for sure. I kind of want him to get a bunch of kills so I can see how ridiculous this looks as Ken. Then we'll get a remnant away. Makoto unable to get the vortex in time. Ken's still going to hang about, of course. 12-minute power rune about to spawn up. He will smoke along with Grims. More just about denying it away from Makoto. Ken, they're going to risk it. They'll take the top. It's going to be bottom, though. Illusion rune as well, so it's not really worth too much. They're still going to try and jump in onto Makoto. Makoto dropping quite low. He's just trapped in the wheel and does go down. A big Ravage, though, connecting onto 2. But where's the follow-up? Natsumi's trying to deal with Rupido, but Rupido's surging out of there, so instead he has to turn onto Ken, who does go down. Oh, Ken not getting the remnant off in time. It's still not the worst fight in the world. It's a 1-for-1 on both mid laners. But Grims, he decided he wanted to make it a bit more uneven. He'll be okay, though. He'll jump onto the high ground. So 1-for-1. Both mid laners dropping. I mean, it felt like you probably should have gotten away with that if you were the dire end. In fact, now they might even lose more because Makoto's back up and Drick's in the middle of nowhere. So Drick will go down. It still feels like Talon, they're finding the better end of all these fights.
They are. I think the key factor in these kinds of trades for Ivory is you are preventing a big snowball in Makoto, right? Like his galvanized stacks keep going down. He's not getting the most plus mana regen on the Storm. However, the Soul Ring kind of compensates for that anyhow, but it is making it a little bit slow going for Makoto in comparison to his other games. The big thing for Ivory is that they are just stalling for Aizen. Right? Like he's been stuck in the jungle. He has Maelstrom up. He's trying to get that farm. and he's slowly working to that point. They did force out Ravage as well, so they know they've got about a minute where you don't have to worry. Still, Rupido.
Oh, Stranger here, Rupido. Oh, he's there. He's gone. He is gone. Natsumi with the killing spree now. Grimm's also getting caught out. Cuckoo with a beautiful setup. Boy, oh boy, it's just not getting any better, is it, John? Not for Ivory, at least. Now 4K advantage the way of Talon. I'm trying to find the brighter side, you know, like Aizen is free farming while all this is happening, so you could make the argument the DK could become a problem later on, but it's just, he's so far away from being that problem I'm speaking about. You know Talon are going to have full control for quite a while of this game.
That they will. Like, even with this DK fully farmed up, I'm not sure if it's going to be enough. Like, Frost Dragon's cool, right? Like, the healing reduction, the move speed slow. You might be able to try to kite around, especially on the melee heroes, while they're kind of just trying to work their way in and out of these fights. It can be quite punishing. We need to see them actually connect in team fights. And again, it's not like Aizen's ready. He needs his own Mjolnir up, trying to match that pace on Natsumi. But he is at least 3k gold behind, almost maybe around 2.8k gold behind. Caught out again.
He is. And that's not going to make you feel too much better about the Dragon Knight. That's for sure. A bit of rotations here from Ivory. They've got 3. Rupido, Ken, and Grimm's trying to have a gander. See if they can find themselves something for all this trouble. And Grimm's, they're going to see Cuckoo going through the the twin gates, but it won't matter. In fact, now the Torments are just going to casually be taken.
Another big gold boon coming out for Talon. Free shards for Cuckoo very early on. And feeling good about having the jetpack set to go. And another, again, big gold injection from Tormentor. I think the gold is almost insanely unnecessary. But considering it is an objective you have to contest, it's, you know, not mirrored on each side. It does need a little bit of a premium on it. But it is making the situation much worse for the side of Ivory. They do have some of the auras slowly being built up, right? Like, Rupido has the mech, he's going into the Guardian Greaves, just lacks the Buckler at this point to have that fully up and running. The Mage Slayer on Ken can help mitigate some of the damage, especially from Mikado if he does manage to get his hits off. And eventually you're going to try to hit the shard on Drick.
Hook. Oh, it's there onto Ken, but Ken's still okay. There wasn't enough follow-up to it. WS trying to find a nice Ravage. Meanwhile, Rupido, he'll drop the wall. It looks like they've caught Ken again. Ken trying to get a Remnant out of there. Now a Ravage committed, catching 2 of them. Rupido still in huge trouble. Finally will die. Meanwhile, Ken barely escaping out. But the chase continues. Talon still want a bit more out of this. In fact, it looks like that should be it. WS, has he stuck around too long? Aizen will move in. He's a tanky boy, but not that tanky yet. Though I say that. They're doing no damage to him. In fact, Drick comes in now. They've got to get the hell out of there. In comes Makoto looking for Ken, and he's found him with the Vortex. Ken is down. They'll try for Makoto, but he just gets out. He just zips away. Drick's lost vision. Drick's still looking. Oh, he's not going to catch him in time.
No.
Does he want to try for WS? I don't think he does. Empowerment arts do land at least, but it won't matter. Instead, they'll try for Joe-Cam, but he'll just run out of it. The chase continues, but who's going to lock him down? Aizen? He'll get there eventually. The Surge will ensure he gets there. But now Talon want another fight. Cuckoo's having a look for a hookshot target. They're not going to find one.
Again, it's just a awkward set of circumstances. You're trying to poke and prod right around that rune area.
Okay, he pops the Hawk. In fact, the Vortex to start. The hook angle's not there, but it may not matter. Ken's just down. I forgot WS has the Dead in the Water shards up now, so times are tough for Ken. Rupido, speaking of tough times, he's going to drop to boot. They still want to fight. I mean, Cuckoo, he'll get caught, but Talon is still ready to go whenever. In fact, it was just Makoto. So the Cuckoo kill does work out in their favor. No real punishment here from Talon. That Dead in the Water, though, from WS, it's going to make life a little bit challenging if you are Ivory, that's for sure.
That it is. You don't have an easy way of clearing it out, especially as an Ember. Ringmaster can't really right-click as fast as well. So it's going to take a concerted effort to kind of clear that out and allow Ken to actually play his game. one big benefit for Ivory is that you are getting a lot of these kills on Eisen. Right? Like he's alive, he's managed to soak through EXP, he's managed to get some even gold bonuses for himself. He's got the Mjolnir up and running. He's going into the Hurricane Pike next. On our DK is somewhat keeping up considering the game state. He is top net worth for his team. He's matching WS's farm at the very least. Still lagging behind in comparison to Natsumi, but that is a nature's profit. Speaking of, though, they are going into the Roshan, and they do have the damage output with that Mjolnir. Not as quick as you'd expect, but they will take it eventually. The side of Ivory do have some angles that you try to play, but it is very well protected by Talon. The wards still stand right around the ramp. Scan is there. The opportunity just isn't that clean for the side of Ivory. They're just going to have to surrender another big objective. With a secondary life up for Natsumi to kind of take some riskier plays, you start to feel better and better. In fact, Mikado's looking for someone to try to respond to clear out the bot and keep that shoved in. No one growing quite yet. And the pushing pace of Ivory makes it that even mid isn't really under threat. So they're not really able to get much for that Roche exchange here.
They got nothing, really. Well, Ivory, they farm a little bit while that was happening, but that's all they got. You're still seeing Drick and Rupiter be annoying with the Iron Shell spam, just keeping the waves pushed out, but it's not really amounting to too much. I mean, you're up against the Nature's Prophet and the Storm. They can clear it out very quickly. Not gonna be one of those games where you can sneak in a Rax, you know? It's you haven't got the draft for that. Mid lane. So they are quite close by Eisen, but they don't see the DK. I mean, if you're Talon, you might just commit for the tier 2 top tower, considering you've got an Aegis up. You know they don't want to fight right now, or you know rather that they can't fight right now. You may as well get started.
Not much stopping them. And there's this team fight potential that can come in. It's reliant on like a big vac wall with a smoke screen on top. You don't have the follow through control to pin them down there outside of chains. Talon though.
Oh, not Ken again. See, the issue is once you're leashed by Dead in the Water, you're just screwed. There's a hook shot now, perfect from Cuckoo. Nowhere to escape to for Grims. It's just such a big headache for this Ember. Like, as soon as he gets leashed, it's just like, you're just dead.
Yeah.
Good luck.
It's in the skill name, Mikey. You know, it's living up to it. I feel like that should have bonuses in the river as they keep chasing here.
That's a good point, Rupido. Still running. Has another surge up now, but the Vortex will land, and you've got the Rod of Atos as well. So that surge is not going to be doing too much work, as they will be able to secure another kill for Jokam. 13k advantage now. Of course, Age is still standing for another 3 minutes for Natsumi. And that just means another tier 2 tower. In fact, it might just mean a pickoff. TP's towards Drick, but Drick does continue to run, and it seems like Natsumi decides better off.
Isn't quite. WS is just running across nearby 3 heroes as well. But he knows how tanky he is. He's got the blink flying out now on that Tidehunter. So the initiation with Ravage becomes a lot easier, or the follow through with Ravage becomes a lot easier to find here. He is spotted.
Can they deal with him though? Here comes Natsumi. Oh, what a hook! What a hook from Cuckoo again. He threaded the needle that time, Jonathan. Makoto finding another. It's a beautiful hook, John. There's 3 heroes right around that hook angle, but he found.
Yeah. Again, this is why I love seeing Cuckoo Clockwork. I think he's been on fire on it. It was his return here when he joined Talon, and he's looking amazing. 20-9. Ivory. Again, it's another rough game. The lanes didn't go out the way they'd wanted to. This gambit with the Darkseer and the Ricky hasn't really amounted to much.
Yeah. I mean, it's a nice attempt, but no escape for poor old Eisen. Doesn't have a BKB yet either. The BKB TP is now Drick. Has been spotted by good old Jokam. Still dusted up as well. He's got a pretty tough time ahead of him, I think, here, John. Tricks the trade onto the high ground. TP away. Oh, is he actually going to make it? He does.
Oh.
Well, isn't that just lovely from Drick? Meanwhile, Rupido, mid lane, in trouble. Gets saved by the escape arts, but it's not going to matter too much unless he can run away, and he cannot. Cuckoo's in with the hook shot. Ken just needs to get the hell out. Another nice set of kills here, John. As Natsumi narrowly TPs away.
Yeah, he has Aegis if he does die, so he's got a safety net for some of these riskier plays. I'm trying to think of what item Ivory can get or what items they can look for that simplifies his game a little bit. The double BKB on Ken and Aizen helps. It helps just a tad bit. It doesn't feel like it's enough. It feels like there are damage issues that they can't really correct for. There's the shard up now on Drick, so the no targeting in the smoke screen can be nice. The added minus armor can maybe soften them up for the Ember and the DK, but you're playing into Tidehunter, you're playing into a very slippery storm. You're playing into an NP who's normally not that far up front anyhow. Reaching out onto any of these heroes just seems like a tall order for the side of Ivory to try to leverage the shard spike. I'm not sure. I think, again, it just boils back to, can you actually play with Vac Wall? Can you try to maximize some of these Ion Shell combinations you've lined up for themselves? And it feels like the answers to all of that has just been no. It hasn't been able to amount to much. It's just a hard game to play. You don't have hard control. You don't have that hard hold that really utilizes Vac Wall in a meaningful way outside of Smokescreen. Even then, that's not enough.
At least there is vision around this area. I say vision, it's a sentry ward. I was going to say, you know, at least they've got that, but with that, as Ivory just going to play very safe by their own base as Talon. They're looking to move in again. No Ravage up for WS for 40 seconds, but dead in the water is more than enough to feel confident in locking somebody down. And Makoto's just going for a Hurricane Pike now on the Storm.
Yeah,
Because
showing a
why
lot of
not?
respect for the Ricky.
Yeah.
It's really that smoke screen, right? Like, you normally don't want to, but with a shard, they know something's going to be up. They smoke up on the side of Ivory, but jumping WS is really not what you want. This guy's so damn tanky. 19 additional damage block on his Kraken Shell, which is already at 75. You have the active of that. You have the Glimmer Cape already up as well, so magic damage won't melt through him as much. And their own Force Staff. Like, everyone's just going for the Force Staffs now on the side of Talon. This just makes sure the Ricky's useless. Like, the shard timing, whoa, wow, it's amazing. Until everyone has a Force Staff. It's like, what do? You don't have hard stuns.
Go Ken. Oh, they're going to find Ken. A perfect target to start off with, and let me tell you, John, it really doesn't take too long to deal with Ken, as now Drick also caught by Cuckoo, and Cuckoo actually did that blind. I believe that was an accident on Cuckoo's part. Won't really matter, though, because it's still going to pay off. Centaur getting involved now, trying to stun everybody up, but there's your Ravage now, committed by WS, catching 3 heroes. However, Makoto getting a little bit low, does need to back off, but here comes Natsumi. That's the big one you got to worry about now. Natsumi just hitting away. Rupido trying to run, will not make it out. WS. So he'll get started into that tier 3 top tower on his own, basically. And he's taking no damage from this tower.
And this is only with 19 stacks in the Kraken Shell. I remember when this was a talent, I'd see players at 40, at 60, almost doubling just the blockage. And it just gets kind of silly at that point. Ivory, I don't know. They don't have Vac, they don't have that combination. Even with the combo, again, it's looked pretty rough. The Force Stabs are starting to form up. No one's going to be annoyed by the smoke. Your damage with Aizen isn't great. Cuckoo.
Oh, they found the big one! What a Cogs pushback here from Cuckoo. Aizen, he's barely out of there for now, but no, the power shot. The execution from Joe Camp. Makoto, has he gone too far? Answer is no, Jonathan. He certainly has not. Another execution here. They call GG. They've had enough. So have I, John. Talon. 4 games, 4 wins.
They managed to get it going, and Ivory, unfortunately, again, just falling a little bit